From the factory floors of the world to the voices that power the spindles and spark innovation. This is the Gunn Show. Hosted by Tony Gunn, the machinist turned global storyteller who's been inside more factories than most people have been inside Walmart. Get ready for unfiltered conversations with the mind shaping the future of manufacturing. It's raw, it's real, it's worldwide. Special thanks to our incredible sponsors, because without you, there is no show. Much love to Revelation Machinery, Ebita Growth Systems, AMT, IMTS, NTMA, Tecma, Shop Floor Coffee, and the American Precision Museum. And if you're one of the proud few who bleed coolant and dream intolerances, welcome to the Machinist Club, a worldwide brotherhood and sisterhood of people who machine the unseen that move the world. Grab your gear, rep the movement, and join the club now at TonyGunn.com. Powered by MTDCNC, this is The Gunn Show. Welcome back to The Gunn Show, my friends. Man, I love you guys for listening and watching and paying attention. You know, the whole point of this show is to humanize manufacturing, and we make every damn thing around us. So if you're tuning in to learn who is making this cool stuff, we appreciate you, because having a platform to share our stories is really what we need in order to connect with audiences that typically don't care how their phone is made, or their car, or, well, maybe cars are pretty popular, but satellites and airplanes and all the things around the world. As I get older, certainly the pieces that are starting to go into my body, the medical devices, and some of the things that make our lives easier. I think back to the days of having to get up off the couch and turn my TV knob, and I had a whole 6 channels back then, and I had to move the bunny ears around in order to get 2 or 3 of those. I was forced to watch the same 3 or 4 channels, and then a remote was made. And then we started getting cable, and here we are today with all the apps and everything. That's just one example of how manufacturing makes our lives better. There's so many more examples. Today, my friends, I am honored. I have the privilege, 2 of my best friends in the whole wide world. I got my buddy Tim and my buddy Stacy here from Pazmac. Pazmac Enterprises is up in Canada, the amazing hat of the U.S., as some say, but way more than that, in my opinion. Canada is such a resource of information, wealth, detailed manufacturing. It's just, Canada's been part of the top 10 in manufacturing, top 15 in manufacturing for as long as I can remember. And I think it's important that Canada is recognized for their skills, and Pazmac is definitely leading that charge. In fact, I have a little blip here I'm gonna read to you guys for those listening and watching. You know, it's precise, meticulous. Pazmac is a connector between your exacting engineering designs and precision manufacturing excellence. This is a team. I've been to this facility, and as I read through this, trusted by industry-leading OEMs for over 50 years. And I think about that, and I look at my friends here, and they don't look a day over 150. So I don't know how they're doing it. With all jokes aside, these 2 young men do have far more wisdom than I do, so I'm going to stop jibber jabbering. We're going to start with my buddy Tim. We're going to learn about his journey. We're going to slide over to Stacy. We're going to learn about Pazmac and why you might want to work with them, and we're going to have a lot of fun today. Tim, Stace, thanks for being here, my friends.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Well, I want to jump right into this, Tim. I know a little bit about you. We've had the pleasure to work together. I've brought cameras into your facility and highlighted the growth and your expert capabilities. There's so many DMG Mori machines. In fact, I believe Dr. Mori has been to visit you before, and you certainly lead the way, as I previously mentioned. But I want to know a little bit more about your journey. Now, granted, you're only, 25, 26 years old, so this story won't be too long, but I imagine you got something going on you want to share with us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been around manufacturing for 35 plus years now, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the journey. Not a machinist by trade. Actually, my trade is more on the automotive side of things originally, but always had a great deal of fondness for how things were put together, and how to take them apart and try to figure out how to reassemble them at some point. And really what led up to this was working in fabrication for a while, and then after the automotive side of things, and then working in the tech sector for a number of years, and early days fuel cell stuff, or we worked for a division of Precision Action, started working together in 95.
That's good.
And and worked in 3 different companies together and sort of brought each other along to new opportunities. And tech sector was fuel cells, early clean environmental stuff. And we were responsible for integrating a whole bunch of engineering into city buses, powering them around the planet. So that was a lot of fun. Worked in subsea sector for a while in smart equipment, and then came here and essentially sort of left behind the proprietary manufacturing, got into the service side of things. And as we've developed the company over the 22 years I've been here, it's been through modernizing as much as possible, embracing the technology that comes forward within the industry, and really developing techniques based on our experience with actually making proprietary products to support our customers with their proprietary products. And that we feel like we're truly integrated in with most of the OEMs we deal with. And we're working in semiconductor, aerospace, military, energy, green initiative product lines, virtually open to everything. And we like new challenges every day.
Well, I look forward to asking you a bit more about the company, because it is cool. And I know how much you like challenges. In fact, we even discussed having a roundtable event so you could embrace the challenges of everyone. And that's kind of a cool concept. I want to know, if it's okay with you, you mentioned, I believe, 35 years. 35, it doesn't even seem possible. You're too young, but I think you mentioned 35 years. How did you get started? For the youth out there who are trying to consider which direction to go, how did you get started? Did you fall into it because you liked cars? Did you fall into it because you were a misfit like me? Did you purposely go to college and say, this is what I want to do with my life? How did you get into it?
The above. I mean, it's just being open and embracing things when they come. And we talk a lot around here. When we meet somebody who's got a product that's interesting and appealing, you have to recognize that as a potential opportunity in the moment. Do the math quickly and determine whether it might be a good fit for your organization. It's the same thing in life on a personal level. You try things, you dabble, you have too many hobbies. You start to refine those and narrow them down as you get older, because you can't, ski and cycle and, work out in the gym. It's just not enough hours in the day. And, support your family and do all those other things. As you get older and you get more committed to supporting things in a more regulated manner, you have to refine that. But you got to throw everything on the wall to start with, figure out what you like. So loved cars, loved music, loved, literally everything. And sports, everything. Try it all. And then, as you boil it down, you could then start to refine what educational elements will help me get to this goal. And don't be afraid of change. Man, 22 years, it's reasonably long tenure in one organization. But prior to that, I moved around a bit.
See, that's why I have you on my mentor list. I mean, we could end the conversation right now. I mean, Stacy probably wants to say a little something about himself before we go, but it's comments like that make me realize just how significant you are in my life. I mean, that was inspirational, and I agree. And we're not getting older; we're getting wiser, Tim. Our hearts are young. We're feeling good. I don't know who that person in the mirror is anymore, but I'm feeling good, And you're so right. We're getting wiser, and we can't. I mean, when I was a kid, I think I played every sport. I tried to do as many things as I could, and you're so right. As I've gotten older, even my watch time of sports, I have to dedicate certain times of, okay, I can watch this game this month because I'm so busy. So March Madness is one that I dedicate a little bit of time to. A Super Bowl, of course, World Cup, things like that. But as a general rule, I don't get any of that. I feel you, my friend. All right, Stacy, let's learn a little bit about you, buddy. Tell me about your journey. And you guys, Tim has already mentioned, I believe it was 1995 when you guys were working together on this project, but you guys have been friends a long time. How did you get into it, and what's your journey been like?
Well, I had a different, little bit of a different journey Tim did. We were thinking about doing the podcast, and I realized that this is my 30th year manufacturing. So a little bit behind Tim. And I started off with a path to go to university and do something completely different. It wasn't even on the radar. Tell them what it was.
Yeah. What was it?
So I was going to be sports medicine.
Oh my goodness.
And that was my path. And I left my home in the interior of British Columbia. I came down to the coast and to Vancouver and went up to University of British Columbia, got my degree. But I grew up in a trades household. I grew up with a mom that came off the farm and a father who's trade. And he was pushing me the university way because it wasn't as sexy back then, you know what I mean? And you know, you were not as well educated. You got to get up and get that kid. So let's go. So he pushed me, you know, to kind of select something and go that way. And it went that way. But I grew up in this household where you did for yourself. We didn't work wealthy. So if something needed to be fixed, if something needed to be built, if something needed to be created, you did it. So I was the kid handling the tools and being schooled from an early age. And so as I was going to school, my summer jobs and my break jobs were in areas where I was most familiar and maybe even had an inkling of a skill set, and that was hands-on. So I ended up working at fab shops, and on the welding side, a little bit of machining, construction. I got out of university and I was cycling quite a bit, doing a little bit of competition cycling. And so there was this great opportunity to work at a friend of mine was working at a company by the name of Rocky Mountain Bicycles. And they would build these fantastic mountain bikes that were being sold worldwide. And so I got a job in their shop, and we started working out in the machine shop, and I'm doing some brazing and things. And we're creating these wonderful bicycles from zero. And the company changed along the way, and I left the company for about a year. And I was asked to rejoin the company. And when I was asked to rejoin the company, I was interviewed by Tim and another fellow who's a lifelong friend of ours. And we joke about that because it didn't have the best start. I sat out in the lobby for almost an hour waiting for my interview, and they sat in the old room waiting for me to show up. And nobody had spoken and told them they were there, they were ready for me. So by the time I got into the interview room, I was
upset. I was upset. Oh my God, where is this idiot?
And so I come in, and that's going to be the start of this. And it's history from there. It worked. I was hired in, and that became the start of my formal education in manufacturing. And it was coupling this hobby lifestyle, something that was really a big part of my life, and coupled it with actual industry and earning a living. And so I got a great start to my education. I got to meet some fantastic people. Tim became a mentor for me, along with some other folks along the way, and we became fast friends. And it worked from there. And as we progressed and turned a bespoke type operation of building custom product into a manufacturing facility before we left, and then we moved into Tech Center and there's a rinse and repeat. We did the same thing over there in another area. Then I eventually joined them over at Pazmac. And I've been here, I'm in my 21st year at Pazmac. And I guess what I learned along the way is I like to make things. I'm not on the machines like Tim. I left that behind quite some time ago. I was able to leverage my education on the business side with my opportunities along the journey to take on different roles within the organization, but we're never off our shop floor. So I don't have a red seal with candidates in every bridge ticket, a red seal as a machinist. But I certainly spent my fair share of time on them in the beginning. So we just have a lot for it. I can't imagine doing anything else. So if it wasn't here, it'd be somewhere else, in the making of things. It's you find it as you think you're going in a different direction. You find out really what was either in your blood or maybe it was what you're supposed to do. And that's kind of how I feel about it.
Hey there, manufacturers. Need to sell your surplus CNC machinery? Whether it's vertical machining centers, CNC lathes, or machines from top brands like Yazda, Matsur, or Watchon, let me introduce you to Revelation Machinery. If you've never worked with a used machinery dealer before, here's what you're missing. Selling equipment on your own can mean long waits, low offers, and lots of time chasing leads. Revelation Machinery changes the game, bringing nationwide exposure to your machines. Their team is located across the USA, so wherever you are, you've got a local expert on your side. Revelation doesn't just list your equipment, they use targeted marketing methods to get your machines in front of serious buyers. Revelation Machinery is committed to fair pricing, full transparency, and taking care of the details. From paperwork to logistics and even rigging if you need it, they're there every step of the way so you're not juggling any part of the process alone. Ready to let a trusted partner handle the heavy lifting? Head to revelationmachinery.com/The Gunn Show to see how easy it is to turn that surplus machinery into cash with Revelation Machinery. So if you were growing up, handing the wrenches over, fixing things, making sure that it all worked, why was your original thought sports medicine?
I had I guess the secondary, and I haven't left it behind. The secondary interest side was physiology, sport, and the science of sport, and it was a journey that I probably would have continued had I not found how much I enjoyed being in manufacturing at the time. When I got my first full-time job into it, all of a sudden, this is pretty cool, or I could hang it up and go back to school for another 2 years or 3 years. And, you meet some very interesting people, you're exposed to some things, you're learning. Each day I was learning things that I could actually put my hands on. It was real-world application, not just theoretical, which was going to be the continued journey in university. And I certainly not throwing stones at that avenue going through. But for me, once I got into it, it captured my attention, it captured my interest, and I wanted to continue.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And for cycling, do you still cycle now, Stacy?
Not nearly as much. The bikes are getting too much dust on them. I'm a big skier, and I try to spend that part of the season, we're very fortunate here, we got 4 seasons, doing that. And between raising family and whatnot, I don't get up as nearly as much as I need to, or I should. But it does factor heavily into the future. You never forget how to ride. So
how to ride a bike, like riding a bike. And when you were cycling, was it always in the area of the world that I met you in that part of Canada?
Predominantly, and in the little east of there. Like I said, I grew up about for our U.S. friends, 300 miles inland. And in another beautiful part of our province, mountainous, a little different, fantastic skiing. And so that was the area I grew up. Again, a true 4 seasons area. So it's far over the Rockies. I've done a lot of riding there. And then out here at the West Coast, which has turned out to be a mecca. I mean, the festivals of Whistler and Cranworth and things like that. I mean, they're world renowned, right?
Yeah. Being the center of that was a dream for me, and I know for Stace as well. So I still cycle as much as I possibly can.
How often is that, Tim?
It's usually weekly. Not all season round, which I used to do religiously, but I'd like to get back to doing even more. And I don't do the crazy mountain bike stuff anymore. When we were with Rocky, they had a race team there, so every once in a while, we do something stupid like go and try to ride with those guys. Pay for it for several days afterwards. Yeah, they were all just a great bunch of people, and they'd have a lot of patience for us and would teach us a lot. So, yeah, it was it's kind of a dream job to go build stuff that you like to use, right?
Yeah. I recently did an interview with some folks over in Montana. Their hobby and their work are one and the same. It's a split boarding company, and that's what they make. They make their own split boards to sell to the world, which took off during COVID because all of the resorts were shut down. So people were just taking their skis, their snowboards, walking into the wild of the forest and finding whatever slopes they could, right? So the split board idea was, you walk up with, two, like, for people who don't understand what splitboarding is, imagine watching that cartoon where the tennis rackets are on the bottom of the feet in order to walk on top of the snow. So you imagine that being 2 skis of a split board, right? And so you're walking in the snow, then you get to the top of the hill, you snap those 2 bad boys together and you snowboard down. And that's kind of the idea of the backwoods splitboarding. But 100% agree with you guys. If you can make life and hobby one and the same, how wonderful. And you guys are in that part of the world that if I lived there, for sure, I'd be cycling and then herding 3 days later right beside you.
Yeah, well,
we're spoiled. I mean, the area of the world that we live in, that's just fantastic. There's so many outdoor recreational opportunities for us. So you can't help but be, kind of engrossed in them, right?
Yeah. You're spoiled for sure. All right, let's talk a bit about Pazmac. I've gotten to learn a little bit more about you, which a lot of it I knew, and I just wanted the world to know because I admire you guys so much. So it's nice that everyone else gets to learn about you as well. Let's talk about Pazmac, what you guys do, what you make, your dedication, why someone might want to work with you. Just give me the story, Tim, of Pazmac. If I was someone listening right now and I just had all the curiosity and I was like, I want to learn more about this company, what would you tell me?
Let's start with the fact that we seem to have an obsession for dealing with products, components that other people don't want to touch.
I remember that part of your story.
And coupled with that, we have we recognize that the interpersonal relationship side of that is foundational to everything, right? The communication level in a lot of ways ramped up during COVID because a lot more of this Zoom team thing happened, and we established regular meetings to try to compensate for the fact that we couldn't get out to see a lot of our customers as regularly as we were doing prior to that. But we really pushed the in-person communication. We really push. Again, I think we mentioned to you last time we talked that we've been hitting that gong of, we'll help you with your design for manufacture. That's a cliche that I think a lot of people in the industry use, and the people that do at shops like ours out there that actually execute on that will find that they develop better and stronger relationships with their customers. It's critically important for us to be involved as much as we can in supporting. Like, we're not here to sell extra time. We're here to be as efficient as we can with that product line, because we're looking for long-term relationships. We have relationships that go back as long as I've been with this company in the tech sector, for example. In the semiconductor world, we have a customer that we've been dealing with for longer than both of us have been here. And, 25 years in oil and gas, we have customers that go back 35, 40 years. So it's those long-term relationships, and it's because we make the effort to get out there and help them problem solve, like really problem solve. The other side of it is that we speak engineering. We understand there's an evolution to product lines. We help with, stability around revision control and all of those critical documentation elements. And we are really deeply embedded. When a customer does their DFMEA on a new product or a revision to a product line, they have all their form, fit, function sorted out. We get involved with them at the PFMEA level to say, all right, let's really look at what you can live with and what you can't. What are the failure modes that could critically affect the functionality of your product, and where do you have some latitude? Because that's cost savings, it's more efficiencies, better throughput, better sustaining of the quality requirements, all of those things. We just embed ourselves in that. And we know that it's the most important investment in the front end of building a relationship with the customer, whether they've been with you for 20 years and they've got a new product line, or whether they're brand new. And as such, I think we've got a pretty decent reputation out there because we get referrals that way. And it's person to person. It's not some bot that's connecting you with the LinkedIn connection, what you're doing on Instagram. It's the relationships you build out of those ways of connecting, along with just getting on a plane, not unlike you do. You get in front of somebody and establish that relationship.
I am here in Mexico today at Expo Santa Fe because we're going to talk TECMA. Now, TECMA is the trade show here in Mexico to attend. If you're going to attend only one show in Mexico this year, attend TECMA. And why is that? Well, we had this big conversation about nearshoring and reshoring right now, right? Well, Mexico is the backbone for the infrastructure that we might currently be lacking in the U.S. to have that support here in Mexico. Will now take place from June 18th to June 20th at Expo Santa Fe, Mexico City. If you're gonna bring your significant other, we want them to be able to go shopping, and this is a very familiar, comfortable area. You can go shopping, enjoy yourself, there's restaurants everywhere, and safety is key. Here, you have no problems. You know, I hear you say that, and it's companies, it's people like you and companies like yours that I love showing and showcasing on any type of marketing platform that we can, because I know that when somebody sees it and they decide I need to find a new partner, I need to find a partner, or whatever it might be, that's going to be trustworthy, that's going to bring value, that's going to help me do better, all of these things that I know you guys do. I am honored when I have the opportunity to share your story, because I know anyone who reaches out to you is going to find success. So it's not like I don't ever want to make things up or lead people in the wrong direction, but it's companies like you and people like you guys that I know for a fact that anytime someone calls, 6 months ago, a week from tomorrow, 6 months from now, a year from now, I know that they're going to have success with you guys. So that's my 2 cents on that, Stacy. I'm going to slide over. I'm looking at your LinkedIn right now, and there's a part that stands out to me, and I'm going to try to remember a story that you guys told me about making machines do what they couldn't do and proving that they could. And so what I want to read real quick is Pazmac partners with our customers by providing unparalleled quality parts, on-time deliveries, and world-class manufacturing processes that improve their market potential. World-class manufacturing processes. That's what I got stuck on when I was reading this. I don't know how much of the story you want to tell, can tell, whatever it might be, but I vaguely remember walking through and you guys were making machines do things that other people said couldn't be done. And you're like, watch this. Yes, we can. And you've been proven. And this is part of your world-class manufacturing.
It is. And just to kind of build on what Tim said, we're not in the part of the industry that's the relationships transaction. That's not where we shine. It's not a commodity you get across. That's not the type of work we do. So the focus being world-class, bringing world-class, what does that even mean? Now we have our philosophy, what that means internally. It's not some stamp you can get somewhere, like accreditation, but it is something that we've defined internally with our team that we strive for. That's really the best possible customer experience that can be provided. That's what we try and do. And that has to be in all aspects. We've got a high performance team, highly skilled team to go out and listen to the customer, listen to what they really need, what they really want by asking the right questions, and then building out what our actual offering is going to be back to them. So to get to the process side, we had a challenge from a customer, and you've been in the shop, so we've got mill turns, we've got mills, we've got turning centers, we've got a small shaper, and we're not an overly large organization, but we're not tiny either. And the challenge was on a piece of equipment to get some gear cutting done, and it was in skiving. And of course, you can go out and buy a skiving machine if you're at your shop. You maybe got quite a few of them at this point. But the traditional machine shop, we had all of the scope of work to do on this product, and we have some good shops that we use, and we can reach out on some of that. But we had been working in the background on a program with the machine tool supplier as to whether or not we can incorporate that into one of our mill turns. And it had been advertised that way some time before. We went out to buy that functionality through the module and through the CAN software for it. We met with some resistance, and that wasn't good enough for us, because we were down on the circle. We were going to take the full scope of this job on it. We could do it. We made the investment in this equipment. Our people that made a commitment to gathering the knowledge and the expertise, and so we pushed back, and we pushed really hard. And as a matter of fact, we even at one point, I know this is probably part of the story we shouldn't share.
That's my favorite part.
We got with another shop with a competitor's tool. And we said, well, if we can't get help on our side, we'll go out and see if somebody will help us out. And so we went and signed, pressed hard. You're making 13 copies to take the liability of the machine on it. And we gathered some experts from around the globe, tooling experts, and then the machine experts, and then some programming. And we went at the project and we proved it could be done. And then we kind of brought the machine suppliers nose in a little bit and said, we made it happen. Nobody else come give us a hand. And what we did in that was not only did we complete the full scope of work, but we pushed the boundaries of the machine tool offering. And we built up an expertise that nobody else had at the time. Now we're seeing it's more common. We've got the tooling suppliers who gone out and we shared all that information. We actually didn't keep that in our pocket. That was part of the deal, was to go build out, because we really firmly understood that if we had this offering and we had put that amount of investment and interest and work into it, somebody else is going to be able to duplicate it shortly. You always springboard off somebody else's success.
Benchmarking.
But we were first. And we could launch that with our customers and offer that as part of a bigger and better deal, if you will. And we're really proud. We built some expertise. And now when you go to IOTS, you see other machine tool makers talking about the canned options they have in their machines, especially in mill-turn type machines and whatnot. And it's not for everybody, obviously. But we're very proud. We're proud of what we're able to do with that. And it is a story we share when somebody comes along, because we don't use it all the time. But, we push past the so-called barriers that were there at the time to get there. You pull off the first guy that pulled off a backflip on a mountain bike first. 3 weeks later, there's 10 other guys that can do it. But in 5 years, nobody had done it. And it's that type of story. So innovations that happen at companies like Pazmac and others out there, this is healthy for all of us.
And this speaks to what we talked about when you came to visit us, that we don't understand why within the industry we can't be a lot more collaborative as shops and providers, because we're not afraid of that. Like, it's, we're not out to steal anybody's work. We're basically here to help obviously grow as an organization and develop our people. And we think that there's just so much more upside to the industry being collaborative than being overly cautionary and protective.
Because it's not transaction.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, if you've got a competitive, check in with your competitiveness by developing a new technique with a machine, or it's going to get out there anyway. There's other people just as bright as our team, and just as motivated to be out there. Then the fact of the matter is, our competition comes from how we run the organization and how we look after our customers. That's the bottom line. At the end of the day, if we've looked after them with every means that we have, at our disposal, or something we can develop, that's our competitive edge. Not whether or not we've discovered a new tool or a new process we can do with a machine. That's there for about 5 minutes. Then somebody else has got it. And we're hoping to leverage off that, because maybe that adds to the experience we can give to our customers. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And Tim, the next question for you is going to be, in the world of investments in the future, you mentioned 35 years, Stacy mentioned 30 years, the wisdom within your facility. I know you're making investments. So I want to talk about that in just a second, but I have to revisit what Stacy said about the first person to do a flip on the bike, right? Have you guys watched the X Games lately?
Incredible.
We were on the bleeding edge of that, because when we were on Rocky Mountain, a free ride thing came out of that organization. So we had guys working on our production line that became these Red Bull riders.
Yes.
Essentially.
No, really?
They were called the Pro Riders. They wear these big pro wigs over their helmets, and they started chucking themselves down mountains. We were like, what's going on here? And then it drove us to work with our engineering team to design bikes. Like, that's where a lot of full suspension bike innovation and long travel this and all of that came from that motivation then. So we felt pretty cool to be right central to all of that.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, every time I flip on one of the X games, and I hear previous to it being presented, oh, you could never do fill in the blank, right? Whatever amount of flips it is, whatever. And every time they're doing something more and more mind blowing, whether it's on a skateboard or a bike or a motorcycle or whatever. These people are nuts. This is the world you come from, guys.
And those guys break that psychological barrier.
Yeah, they do. It's amazing.
Not the bar anymore. The bar's just been lifted. It's
Every time.
different art business.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. I love that topic just because that is a courageous act of, like you said, resetting the bar every single time. It's like going for a high jump and they keep moving it higher and higher. Every time I flip on one of those things, they're doing something crazier and crazier, and it's so fun to watch. All right, Tim, I hope I gave you enough time to prep for that next question. Innovation. My job, my role is to, currently anyway, is to create awareness for technology to help machine shops thrive, succeed, understand how to make it work, create awareness for technology. And it's moving so damn quickly, if we're being honest. I mean, tomorrow, what we talked about yesterday is going to be changed again. And so you've been doing this quite a while. You've seen an evolution. You've created change within your shop and your organization to keep up with modern day technology. What are some of the investments that you're making to make sure that you're on the edge, the leading edge of whatever is going on, and you can stay there?
We're here to talk about the Advanced Manufacturing Expo in Grand Rapids, Michigan for the 10th year. This year it is at DeVos Place. It's 180,000 square feet of exhibition space, and we're expecting 400 plus exhibitors all across manufacturing with the latest technology, August 6th and 7th.
And for me, why do you want to go to AME? It's really simple. You're going to get an experience unlike the majority of the trade shows you go, because you're going to have the ability to see automation, robotics, tooling, and machinery all operating, running, and get to experience a new wealth of knowledge for you that you can take back to your manufacturing facility and use that day.
Well, hold on. This sounds right, but let's get down to brass tacks. You want to go here because you're not only going to see the latest and greatest, but it's the humans like myself, like them, that bring the manufacturing industry together. Yeah, Grand Rapids is great. Yeah, this is awesome. Come see the human beings, because that is what makes this industry everything that is. Be there or be square. We'll be there.
Well, I mean, one of the main things that we've invested in recent times, and Stacy's at the forefront of all of that, is the real-time monitoring on the shop floor, data acquisition, data gathering. Not to negate the human element in what we're doing, the trade skill and trade craft that our folks have, but to help enhance, time gathering on cycles and how to optimize scheduling and things like that. It's just, the foray into that is starting to pay some interesting dividends. And I know our business systems IT guy at States are regularly meeting with Datanomics as our provider, and they're helping us advance our knowledge of how we can utilize their system, for example, where we might be able to enhance what it delivers for us in terms of functionality on a day-to-day basis. And again, there's that. Then there's the endless pursuit of, like, we have a little internal project running right now with our engineering team on how to coolant manage.
Cool.
And it's not just levels. It's everything. They've developed the hardware and the software to monitor level, concentration, turbidity, all of the different things that can compromise cooling. Like, we try to make our people very aware, because some things get taken for granted. Clearing chips out of the machine, the coolant that's flowing through that high pressure pump, through spindle stuck on that horizontal that you're running out there. It's like the oil in your engine, the lubricity and the functionality and performance of that coolant isn't optimized. How much are you being compromised in terms of your tool wear, your cutting finish, all that sort of stuff? It's critical. So there's the little details. So in some instances, we could find the technology off the shelf, or we have the aha moment at a trade show, or leafing through large machine shop or something like that. And you get at the Bible. And and then on other days, it's just our guys going, no, I think we can come up with something here. So they'll knock their heads together, and 3 weeks later, we're sitting here in the boardroom and they're presenting something. They're going, look, you can monitor it on your phone. How did you do that? I don't need to know, does it work? Yes. Is it robust? Yes. Great, let's go. So one of the most recent things we did, again with our engineering team, had some great input from our applications guys, was robotic deburring. And we've gone places with that a lot of industry pundits were like, yeah, you won't be able to do that. To the point where we were developing and trying to bring some of our own abrasives and talking with other specialists in aerospace about how they were managing these deep channels that they needed to take burr. So we've taken it a step further. We've actually gone to our customers with all of the engineering definitions on what is a burr, what isn't a burr, what is going to be an issue within your system in terms of functionality, and what isn't. So it's every element of that's been reviewed, and we're building up quite a catalog for how we can use that technology with various parts that we're starting into these steps.
Yeah, automation and digitally, physically. I love that you brought up coolant, Stacy. We're gonna talk a bit more about Datadynamics in just a minute, but I want to bring up that I've been into the facilities of Qualichem, and I went over to Motorex in Switzerland, and just recently got back from a trip with Blaser, and you're right, like coolant touches everything, and sometimes it's the last thing we think about when we're putting together all the components of a machine shop is, okay, I got my machine tool, cool. Now I need it to be accurate. Let me make sure my tool holding is good. Let me make sure my work holding is rigid. Let me make sure I have the right cutting tools for the material I'm going to be cutting, and, reducing processes if necessary. And coolant's just like, okay, fill the tank a lot of times, unless it starts getting real foamy or starts smelling real bad, then we start paying attention. But I got to see something at RegoFix recently that was in partnership with Blaser, and they took their phone, they tapped it to a thing on the side of their machine, they pulled it up on their phone, and it told them everything about the coolant. All of all of the recipe that they needed to know, and because they aren't coolant scientists like some of the other folks that I've named, and other coolants are out there that are also great. It'll automatically refill for them anything that's not as perfect as it should. That to me is the answer, because I think back to when I was a machine, certainly my early days as a machinist. I was also in woodworking, which didn't really require coolant, but my early days as a machinist, and that would have been the answer to so many problems that I didn't know were problems at that time, because I never had the opportunity to truly be educated on coolant. I had my bin that was 50% full of chips. I had, if the levels were low, I'd just take a guess and dump in more coolant and then fill the rest with water. It was never accurate as it should be. Not ever was it accurate as it should be. And I would make the discussion that when a machinist is making parts day in and day out, and they have quotas to meet, jobs to get out, people want all their stuff yesterday, the day before that, coolant's not going to be, hold on, is my coolant perfect yet? And if they're not using their own money to buy the cutting tools, they don't really care if they got 10 parts less than they did the day before because of the longevity of the coolant helping with the cutting tools, and so on and so forth. So having it automatically done, I think, saves a ton of money, time, and stress for the management and ownership of these facilities.
Absolutely.
I covered that okay, right? All right, let's slide over. Let's slide over to machine monitoring. I have the same passion for machine monitoring, Stacy, and Tim's already mentioned you've kind of been leading the forefront of this. When I came to visit you, it wasn't new, but it was somewhat new, and I'm interested to learn the developments that have happened along the way. I am, and I mentioned passion already, I am of the belief that digital information is the evolution of current machine shops. I can buy your whatever fill in the blank top tier machine that's out there. You can buy its equivalent. We can both have machine shops. We can both make parts, and they're going to be darn near the same thing. I mean, the technology there is good, and You guys started this off a long time ago by saying we want to share what's going on within our facility because everyone's doing similar things anyway, right? And you guys are brilliant at that transparency. And I'm with you. I make the discussion that your neighbor is doing 99.9% of the same things, even if you're keeping all the secrets from them. There's just not so many different ways we can do something. However, machine monitoring offers us insight that we just can't get any other way, especially with the adaptation of AI that goes along with it and truly understanding more than just the tribal knowledge. Now, that was a long breath for me, Stacy. I'm going to need you to do some talking now, if that's okay.
That's fine. Just agree with you more on the value or the impact of data and data managed decisions within organizations. As a matter of fact, when we're talking about the automation side, you just did a spot on this too that we're looking at a few days back. We can buy all the automation we want off the shelf. There's no question about that. And we could buy big pallet systems, and we can buy lights out type operations, and robots and cobots, and you name it, it's there. The reality is the control systems and the data and decisions that are happening is, faster than we can as humans react to that right now. It's really what's keeping it all up in the air. So we're really seeing integrators and suppliers. We're seeing a shift. Even INTS this year, I was amazed that I came back to Tim and I said, this is all software and controls this year. That was the thing for me. It's nice to see the big shiny equipment, and we look at things we don't have with the wish list items, but it was really about the software and the options that we had and what was being developed going through that we could harness. So, we are using Datanomics as our machine tool monitoring system. And those folks are they're going faster than we can keep up relative to offerings out right now. So we do have a standing weekly meeting. Rob Payne and Rob was interviewed by you when you were here on our IT side. We're really still touching the top surfaces, if you will, of the iceberg going through, just trying to get that in an understanding so we can harness it. We can see what we want. We can see what they're doing. But it's really giving us already from when you were in our facility in terms of just looking at, as our red light, green light, yellow light, what are our reasons? What's stopping us to make those decisions faster and faster on the shop floor so we can get better utilization out of it. The fundamental change that we've got now is the shop floor rollout and working with our exterior guys right through to the shop floor in terms of, okay, you've got a lot of data in front of you. You may not recognize it, but here's what we can harness. And so Datanomics has been helping us by educating us in terms of what else we can do with that data and roll it out to our people. And that's really the velocity that we can do that at, the pace we can do that at, will absolutely influence how much more success we can get out of utilization of those tools. And quite honestly, it's just a footprint for every other piece of innovative technology we can harness in the digital world at the factory level. It's exciting. I said to Tim not too long ago, I wish I had another I wish I had another block of time this much, because what we can learn or what we're learning year by year versus, the last decade or so, or the first decades I was in manufacturing, it's unbelievable. The curve is just like this, and it's fantastic. So it's kind of a privilege to be working in the sector right now at the time when there's so much innovation and so much development of those tools and it's exponential. That's every few months we're hearing, oh, you can do this now. Oh, you can do this now. So wow, you can't keep up with it. I mean, even my old brain started, it's eclipsing the absorption rate,
And I think the technology is also leveling the playing field globally from a competitive perspective, because it used to be mostly about the labor cost in a work center as the determining factor. So the technology's the same relative value no matter where it goes on the planet. So it's how effective you are at implementing it, streamlining it, having it run continuously and deliver quality product. So with more of this, I think it helps people who want to, bring something that's left the continent back on shore or manufacture locally and distribution locally. So it is quite a leveling factor moving forward in manufacturing in general.
Arthur, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Tony, good to see you, man.
Thank
Hey,
you.
have you tried shop floor coffee before?
Dude, honestly, I don't drink coffee.
This is shop floor coffee. You need to try it.
So if I'm gonna start, it's gotta be shop floor coffee?
It's gotta be shop floor coffee.
Oh shit, you're
See?
right. That is so good.
Exactly. Here, grab a cup.
Dang right, that's good, guys. And not only by drinking shop floor coffee are you getting great coffee, but you're also supporting the manufacturing community. 20% of proceeds go back to workforce development programs in the manufacturing community. So by supporting shop floor, you're also investing in the future of manufacturing.
Yeah, you're right. And I have the wonderful privilege to speak with geniuses like yourselves and other folks that are working with Datanomics. And it seems like everybody's utilizing it for something a little bit different. Some people are understanding how to quote better. You know, what are my actual costs? Some people are fully focused on streaming their automation, so there's quite almost literally zero time where the spindle's not turning and making them money, and being able to truly monitor that instead of taking a guess. And then I was just in one, this is something you guys might like. The video hasn't been released yet. We'll probably release it in the next week or so. But I was with a customer, a new customer of Datanomics, and what they were excited about was the communication that they could have with their clients who they're making parts for. So Datanomics is now working on something. I'm not even sure if I should say this out loud, really, because it hasn't come to fruition yet, but I'm gonna anyway. Maybe by the time this podcast releases. What they want to do is be able to automatically ping a customer when something is early or something is late, and let them know the exact process of where it sits in the system. If we guaranteed you we're going to get this to you within 2 weeks, you're going to know exactly what's going on. You can log into what's going on in my machine shop and go, okay, I'm queued for exact ship date. Or it looks like it's going to come 2 days early, or it's going to be 2 days late. This customer of Datanomics, to him, the communication, even if it's bad news communication, if it's given early enough, is something his clients want in order to keep those relationships long. It's all about that relationship building, relationship strengthening for him, and to have that in-depth knowledge and not just a guess. Hey, excuse me, Mr. Coworker, or Mrs. Coworker on the machine, what's your estimated time that you're going to get this job out? Oh, well, it looks like blah, blah, I'm going to have another week, and this is the material, and I just got the material in, the cutting tools come tomorrow, all this. It's all in one system, and it becomes, instead of a theory, it becomes a fact. And there's just, what machine monitoring can do, as you've already said, Stacy, is it just keeps, there's so much. You said you're on the surface. Imagine when we truly know the depths of our machine shops. I mean, really the depths of our machine shops. That, and Tim, you mentioned it as well, that there's a lot of symmetry in what can actually be made, but understanding how this all works is exactly how we can compete globally, especially with all the nearshoring and reshoring that's going on.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
I mean, you guys have the insight of doing it yourselves, and I only have the loud mouth of hearing other people talk about it. So sometimes I use that loud mouth. But we're closing in on the end of this podcast. What I want you guys to do is any closing messages you want for our audience. You can choose, inspiring someone to be a part of manufacturing. You can drop the mic on how awesome Pazmac is. You can talk about the future of manufacturing. Obviously, I'm just trying to ramble right now to give you some ideas for a closing statement. But Tim, we'll start with you. Stacy, we'll finish with you. And just anything that you'd like the audience to know, you, manufacturing, future, whatever you want.
Well, I think encouraging young people to give consideration to this field as full of opportunity and obviously it's one of the most complex trades that's out there. So if you've got a mind that likes to be challenged, I think there's a lot of fascinating possibilities here. And beyond that, as far as we're concerned here at Pazmac, we like a lot of contact. So if people want to have more conversations along these lines, they have things that they thought about that they want to try to sense check. We have things that we like to sense check with other people out there. It's that collaborative element, that the doors are open.
Brilliant. Stacy, can you live up to going second, or should we just turn this thing off?
I just turned the damn thing on. He says it all. That's why
He does. He does. Yeah, exactly right.
So I'll now just go out in the sales pitch and say, and some problem parts, you come see us at Pazmac. We'll look after you.
Simple as that, huh? I like it. All right, my friends. Well, I'm going to do one little closing thing as well. I'm again still on your site. It says our mission is to help OEMs navigate challenging times so they can grow and win in their marketplace. You guys definitely do that. You embody that. You embrace that. You accept that. You love challenges. I've spent time with you. I know firsthand. For anyone who's watching, listening on any of our sites right now, you can find out more about these guys and their company at Pazmac, Pazmac.com. Give them a look. Brilliant, kind, thoughtful, and willing to make sure that you're taken care of. So, gentlemen, I appreciate your time as always, and I look forward to either you coming to Florida or me heading back up there whenever at your earliest convenience.
Anytime, buddy.
Looking forward to that, Tony.
Absolutely. All right, guys, everyone who's listening and watching right now, thank you for paying attention to the Gunn Show. We hope you've made it this far. We definitely love all of our sponsors out there. Thank you for doing what you do and allowing us to do what we do. So everyone out there, Revelation Machinery, appreciate you. EBITDA Growth Systems, NTMA, AMT, Shop Floor Coffee, American Precision Museum, Tecma 2025, all of these sponsors, thank you so much. And if you've tuned into this podcast, the way we close this out every time, well, if you've decided to share your time with us today, time is the one thing that manufacturing cannot manufacture more of. So we appreciate you sharing it with us, and we'll see you again soon. That's a wrap on this episode of The Gunn Show. Thank you for tuning in, subscribing, and supporting the manufacturing movement that keeps the world turning. We couldn't do this without you, or without our incredible sponsors who believe in this mission as much as we do. Big thanks to Revelation Machinery, bringing the auction hammer down on deals so good it feels like daylight robbery, but legal. Whether you're buying or selling, they've got your back. To EBITDA Growth Systems, your factory's secret weapon for scaling up profits, leadership, and sanity. Because spreadsheets don't fix culture, but these guys might. To AMT and IMTS, the innovators behind the biggest show in manufacturing. If you want to see the future, you show up at IMTS. To NTMA, the voice of precision manufacturers across the U.S., fighting for shops like yours every single day. To Tecma, Mexico's premier machine tool exhibition, bridging borders and bringing global technology closer to home. To Shop Floor Coffee, the only coffee that tastes like a 5-axis machine running lights out on a Monday morning, delicious and dedicated to workforce development. And last but never least, the American Precision Museum, honoring the roots of American manufacturing while inspiring the next generation to build what's next. Powered by MTDCNC and fueled by passion, this is The Gunn Show. Until next time, stay curious, stay bold, and keep making things that move the world.